This is Pokemon VGC Masterclass number 7, where we teach you how to play creative VGC correctly. It is a Team Fixing Tuesday, so today what we're going to be doing is looking at an article going around the top 3 types of Weezing teams that you can play, what I believe they are in Reg I, and then we're actually going to be fixing 3 different Weezing teams that were submitted in this month's team submission post on Patreon. Weezing is actually like a really cool mon. I think it's a very good like anti-meta mon. It's a mon that its immediate presence in the game with its neutralizing gas ability, being able to turn off every single Pokemon's ability, not just your opponents, but yours, your teammates as well. It's so good for when you just close out games and play games really aggressively. I've gotten a lot of points with Weezing over the years. It's one of my favorite ways to play. It has 2 different forms, being the Kanto and the Galarian version, which we're going to talk about, but yeah, let's just hop right into this here. So I wrote a little bit of an article. I write an article for all of these little Pokemon VGC Masterclass posts, and yeah, this one's going to be about Weezing, so let's get right into it. So it says Weezing and its ability neutralizing gas can bring a very unique playstyle to Pokemon VGC battles. Being able to turn off every other Pokemon's abilities can help you close out a lot of matches early and is great tech to add to any anti-meta or hyper aggro team. Today I'll be going over the 3 main cores that work with Weezing in Reg I and a brief rundown of how to play them to get the best results. Now there are obviously going to be other ways to play with Weezing, but I think there are 3 big ones in Reg I specifically. And you know, those are going to be, well, we'll talk about them when we talk about them. I don't want to give spoilers, but let me know if you guys can think of a bunch of other ways to play Weezing or something I missed out on. Please let me know. So I also want to say as a disclaimer that this is for Reg I battles, and Galarian Weezing is just a little bit better than Kanto Weezing because of its Fairy stab on moves like Dazzling Gleam and Strange Team. Fairy is better in this format, but if we were to switch to another format that values offensive steel types in the future, Kanto Weezing would be the better choice here to avoid that weakness. So in previous formats like Sword and Shield, where Zacian was much more dominant, pre-nerf Zacian, you know, regular Weezing was better. In formats like you know, Reg H, for example, Kanto Weezing was better because Archaludon was just everywhere, right? So in formats where like there are more aggressive steel types running around, they can use super effective moves into, you know, Galarian Weezing, you're better off going with the Kanto version. All right, here we go. So, before getting into cores, let's briefly also go over some common abilities that Neutralizing Gas stops. Remember, Neutralizing Gas is Weezing's ability. It's going to turn off everything's ability other than, like, the Shadow Riders and, like, Ice Riders, because those guys are cracked, and, like, Mimikyu and stuff like that. There's a bunch of abilities that you aren't affected by Neutralizing Gas, but here are some of the ones that you actually can affect, right? So, Prankster. You're able to turn off, like, Prankster Tailwinds from things like Whimsicott, Tornadus, and stuff like that. Intimidate from, like, opposing Incineroar. So, if you lead Weezing in, like, a really good aggressive physical mon, you don't have to worry about getting intimidated from opposing Incineroar. Auto Weather from things like Kyogre, Groudons, you know, Koraidons and things like that. You're going to be able to turn those off with Weezing. Very good. Same thing also works for terrains. Being able to turn off like Grassy Surge, Psychic Surge, Electric Surge from things like Miraidon. Very good for stopping those teams that are built on those abilities and rely upon them to activate things like Electric Seeds and stuff like that. You can also turn off the Commander from like things like Tatsugiri, being able to just like shut off a Dozo team. You can also shut off Photosynthesis and Quark Drive. Now this didn't used to be the case. Back at the earlier parts of Scarlet and Violet, you used to actually be able to utilize booster energy like Photosynthesis and Quark Drive mons to get around that. So like Roaring Moon and Weezing were like super cracked like at the start of Scarlet and Violet. But you know, now it's you know, it's been patched since then. And many more. There's a bunch of other abilities that are also turn-offable. But I would say these are the ones you're going to see in most of your games. So let's talk about the 3 main types of Weezing cores. So the first one is going to be the most obvious. It's going to be Weezing-Gigas. I think this is pretty much what a common Weezing-Gigas team looks like. Sometimes you see Cloak on some things. Sometimes you see a more defensive option on the Weezing with like a lefties or even like an air balloon or something like that. But I think this is a pretty standard one. So this core uses Weezing's Neutralizing Gas to turn off its teammate's ability, disabling Slow Start from your Regigigas while also turning off any opposing abilities, lets you bully them with effectively a 3rd restricted Pokemon. So you do something like Weezing-Gigas, you'd play until either the Weezing or the Gigas is gone, and then you'd come in with something like a Shadow Rider or like another really aggressive restricted and just close the game out. Easy peasy, it's a rush down, like hyper aggro, sort of like a beat down playstyle. And Regigigas is a great mon. It's really cool, and we're going to be fixing a Regigigas Weezing team today. So the second one is going to be the one that you guys are probably the most familiar with in Reg-I, and that's going to be Weezing and Koraidon holding Ability Shield. So the next team is the most standard way to play Weezing in the current Reg-I meta. It uses Ability Shield on Koraidon to allow us to set the sun while still benefiting from Koraidon's Orichalcum Pulse to give it a damage boost. I think it's a 1.3 boost while in the sun. The combination of Koraidon and Weezing is similar to Weezing and Gigas, but not as reliant on the Weezing to work like Regigigas is. Very easy core to use and great at generating tempo. Again, so the problem with like a Weezing Gigas team is if they just double into the Weezing every single turn, once they take out the Weezing in that Weezing Gigas team, it's gonna, let that slow start reactivate and you're gonna have a weak Gigas. With this team, if they double into the Weezing, like your Koraidon's just fine. It's just Koraidon. Like now they get to use their abilities, but Koraidon's still super good. So this is like an upgraded version of Weezing Gigas. It's a little bit more aggressive. It uses a faster mon. And then other common cores at the back of this are things like Shadow Rider can come out. Things like Scarf Chi-Yu come out after this. So very, very standard way to play this. We're going to be fixing one of these as well. This is one of my favorite cores to use in Reg-I. And I think it's really good for new players because it lets them like skip a lot of learning, the bad abilities that they have to be like playing around. You can kind of just get right to the middle of the game with a core like this. So the last one, this is actually my favorite. So this is a 3-mon core of Goth, Shadow Rider, and Weezing. This is my favorite one of these for my favorite way to play Weezing in Reg-I, right? So this is my personal favorite way to play Weezing in Reg-I. You lead something like Shadow Tag Gothitelle and Spec Shadow Rider and trap them while also pinning with Fake Out and Taunt. Shadow Tag says your opponent cannot swap unless they have like a ghost type. And even going ghost on the first turn and like Terra on the first turn and trying to swap out, you still can't swap out. You got to wait a turn to do that. So what you have the luxury of doing is leading Goth and Shadow Rider. You can pin with Fake Out and Taunt, or if they lead like a Prankster Tailwind Mon, you can just pivot in your Weezing, turn off their Prankster, and blow them up with a, super big, Ghost Terra, Double Dip, Specs, Astral Barrage. Really, really good stuff. I love this tech, and it's great against all of those like Cloak Whims, Cloak Torns. A lot of those guys don't run Sash anymore. And even if they did, if they don't have the Ghost Terra, you can just fake them out easy peasy with the Goths. So it's really, really cool. This is my favorite way to play this, this version of Weezing, and I think we're going to be fixing one of these as well that was submitted. So let's go over this. Those are the 3 main ways to play Weezing in Reg-I. I'm now going to be taking a look at 3 teams that were submitted on the Patreon team fixing submission post and fixing them into one of these, one of each of these cores. So I have the 3 teams right here. But before we get into it, I'm going to turn this over to you guys. You guys have any questions about how to play Weezing or are unfamiliar with any aspects of Weezing's game in Regulation I battles for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Let me know. And we'll hop right into the fixing in just a sec. So again, all these teams are taken from the July edition of the Team Fixing submission post that's up on Patreon. If you guys have a team you guys want me to take a look at, please think about taking a look at that. We're going to scroll down a little bit. We're fixing all these teams this month. I love these in-depth write-ups people give. It really lets me get a good understanding for their teams before actually playing some games with them. If we're scrolling down here, the first team we're going to be taking a look at is Morgan's team. It says, hey, thanks for fixing my Ray Terapagos team last month. This comes from my husband. There you go. So this is a team I've been working on in the context of in-game ladder. I love that they're being very specific of the context they want to play it. I used a slight variation of it for the last global challenge and managed to earn championship points with it, and I think I've improved it a fair bit with some tweaks since then. So they have like a full write-up here. You guys can read all of it if you guys want to check out Patreon. I don't want to get super in-depth, but I really like that they went and let me know everything about the team that they like. And honestly, when I first saw the team, I didn't really vibe with it. But after reading the write-up, I honestly, I'm going to give it another chance. This is the team right here, right? It's going to be like Lefties Ho-Oh. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. So it's going to be Lefties Ho-Oh with like the big Weezing here. Mental or Weezing Dark Terror might be doing a little bit too much. We might be able to move that around just a little bit. Sash Shadow Rider, always a good mon. You have like the big Cloak Gigas. Love this thing. I really like the Wyguard tech on here. And then you have like the Black Sludge, Toxic Spike set here, and then the Ability Shield Grim. I thought it was weird that this was like Toxic Spikes here, Toxic Spikes here. You don't really need 2 of these. I feel like you're doing a little bit too much. But in their write-up, they really said that like you get to pick one of them to do based on the matchup and then close with Shadow Rider. So with that frame of mind, I think I'm going to go into the games we're going to be playing with that frame of mind and then maybe think about what we want to change. I really think the mon that we could change here is Grim. I think this is a mon that we don't need in this team. You might want to still keep this role, but we don't need Grim here. You might want to go back to a couple of the other things we were talking about, how to find the right anti-meta mon for every single team. I think a Sableye might actually do a much better job than the Grim in that situation because you get access to things like Wisp and other things that you would be able to use against, like, mon that you wouldn't really be able to poison. So Wisp might be a good alternative there. into things like Zamazenta that could be like really, really nice, right? So stuff like that are kind of where I'm going. But that being said, we're gonna go play some games and see how it does, and then we're gonna get into a fixing for this team. So let's get right into it. See Wo-Xian reaction. Wo-Xian Koraidon looks cracked, by the way. It'd be a shame if someone turned off all their abilities. Could I just lead Weezing and say GG, shake my hand? Yeah. What if I led with Weezing and they're just going to fake out the Weezing? If I can protect. Is it Grass Terra Ho-Oh? Ooh, love that. Okay. See, I'm looking at what I want to do into the Ice Rider. I'm not really vibing with our matchup into the Ice Rider. What if I just led, like, Weezing-Gigas? Like, I'm going to full send this one for the first game. I'm going to full send the Weezing-Gigas. I'm going to bring the Shadow Rider. They're probably going to have clear ammo over there, so it's not worth intimidating here. I guess I just bring... Oh, we're going to try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I want to get a good understanding. I don't think you can slow play Wo-Xian Rillaboom Ice Rider. I don't think that you can slow play that with Toxic Spikes. Not seeing it. Does Weezing stop Regenerator? It does stop Regenerator, yeah. Wo-Xian and Sin, bro, he's fiending. Okay. You can only fake out one. You see how you how funny would it be if they actually intimidated me? Like if they had like Ability Shield and Sin, bro, I would uninstall. Bro, I would uninstall. All right, so let's think about who we really want to hit. I think. Do we Toxic Spikes first or Poison Gas first? I think you Poison Gas first. And, like, honestly... I don't care about Wo-Xian. I should, I don't. I'm going to go after the Incin because I think Incin is a Pokemon that has a much lower chance of holding Protect. Fake out. Yeah, we got that Cloak. Look at that Cloak, boys! Woo! Look at that damage. Citrus, dude. In this economy, this guy's going with the Citrus. No, stop it. Leech Seed my Weezing, so you're faster than my Weezing. Okay. So I think that our Weezing right here is 82. It's probably at least an 84 on that Wo-Xian. Cool. So I can dumpy into that Incin. Did we miss? Did I miss? Who did I miss on? Wait, you can't miss. You can't miss. Right? Yeah, you can't miss Poison Gas. I'm a Poison type. Yeah, they're poisoned. I'm good. Cool. Dumpied. Thought the move could miss, but yeah, but I don't think Poisons can miss those moves. I don't know. I didn't miss. That's only Toxic? My bad. What the hell? Is that Incin alive? What the hell? Wait, why is he alive? He just roared out there. That's actually super cracked, bro. That's super nice. He roared into that slot, and then, like, I think that also makes it so, I'm sorry. I think that also makes it so, like, the Leech doesn't work. Yeah, Toxic can't miss. You're right. Yeah, it scales with HP, but I did, like, all right, so last time, I did, like, 65% to it. So I just massively low-rolled the Incin. I think he ticks out, though, right? We're probably just going to pivot out Gigas for... Oh, next turn he goes down. Oh, he goes down this turn. Perfect. Yeah, Citrus, but, like... Alright, so that means 65 twice would be a KO in that situation. But it looks like I high-rolled the 65 and, like, massively low-rolled that second one. Because I did the same amount, you know? No, Citrus... Oh, you're right. Crush Grip is based off of the opposing Pokemon. Duh, you're right. Hold on. Crush Grip is... I forgot. I completely forgot how Crush Grip works. Crush Grip is based off their HP. Their HP, not your HP. For some reason, I was thinking like it was like Eruption. My fault. My fault. You guys are 100% correct. That was a mistake. Actually, targeting that the guy was still the right play, but it was, you know... implemented in a weird way. I think I'm just going to Sacred Fire the Kali. And probably just pivot in the Weezing. Like, I know we can't burn it, but we can do some good damage to it. And then we're just going to get ready to close with Shadow Rider. We have Gigas for the wide guard, so like we should be able to like just get a board state where we can come in with Shadow Rider and just completely like astral out. That's the idea. You make me insecure. Bro, you came in here in all caps, miss never lucky when I hit my moves, talking insecure like I'm like distracted for all the wrong reasons out here. Good Fire Terror, I love that. You can Trick Room. No one's saying you can't, bro. I hope you missed the poison gas. Why would you hope that? I don't, what did I do to you, bro? I didn't do anything. Trick Room's absolutely fine. So that Kali is ticking out. I bet they have Pollen Puff. You guys think they have Pollen Puff? We'll find out. We're gonna learn today. Still have that Gigas in the back too. Very important to note about the Gigas. Double Protect is value. We note that we also underspeed Woshin. Stomping Tantrum! Ooh, smooth. Smooth. Leech Seed, no. Okay. Takes a big person to not just rip the Glacial there. He stood on business. Yeah, Kali's ticking out, man. I wonder how much damage we do with Brave Bird into that guy. Okay. This is a weird looking play, but I vibe with it. I don't dislike this play. It makes me take neutral from a lot of stuff. I'm not a big fan. I think that Water Terra is just a better Terra on Weezing in a lot of situations. It's pretty safe. But like, we're gonna live here just fine. Yep. Gleam is gonna do good damage to Woshin. We should be able to finish off Woshin this turn. And then we're trying to set up a board, like I said, where we should just be able to bring in we should just be able to bring in our Shadow Rider and just fold them out. And remember, if you KO the Woshin, they can't get their lefties tick. Now, lefties is going to go into whatever they bring out in this other spot, but it should be the last Mama Koraidon. And, like, honestly, like, it's going to come in and get poisoned, so I think we're okay. Give me 1 sec to mess with my webcam for a moment. Every single time when you Terra, like, sometimes the webcam gets a little bit, like, not out of sync, but, like, weird. So just reset that. There it is. Volk. Ooh, okay. Yeah, love that for me. Okay, that's great. TY, my guy. All right, let's check this here. 2 turns on TR. I think you just like hard swap in there easy and just get ready to protect. You don't need to do anything weird, you know? I think just saving your Ho-Oh and getting a Leech Seed off it is probably enough to win out. Because it can reset your protects, you have wide guards. I think we're fine here. That's a great team. Things are really good. Glacial Lance, good play. Trying to get that big damage into Weezing now that they know it's Terra. This isn't going to do a ton to Gigas. It'll do a lot, but we're not dead. Struggle Bug. Woshin and Valkyrie interesting. Yeah, I agree. Yo, Gigas Gaming out here. Yeah, that Kali is just ticking out. Everyone be ticking out here. Every day they be ticking. This is the last turn of TR, so we don't really need to do anything weird. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Don't care about Struggle Bug. Not a big deal. We don't need a wide guard here either. I think wide guard would have been an easy play, but I didn't want to lose Gigas. I think Gigas is still... See, like, Wide Guard would have been a sick play, but, like, Weezing's not going to get KO'd. Just kidding. At least we stick this damage first, put the Kali within range, maybe of, like, fainting a little bit easier. Let's see if they quiver here. Great quiver. Love that for you, my friend. That is an absolutely amazing quiver. Great quiver. Okay. So we just need to get the Kali off the board. I can't let them TR again. I think. This is our play. Shadow Rider will be able to fold out versus that Volk. Ho-Oh's great into Volk, but let's see what they want to do. I could have wide guarded last turn, I think. It would have been a better play, but oh well. The fact that we haven't shown wide guard yet is really good. Would you TR with the fast Volk? They might. It's hard to say. Trying to get the Shadow Rider or the Flamethrower. Great line. But I really like my line too, so let's see it. Either way, I think we take out the Ice Rider here. Flamethrower or Fire Dance is also definitely a choice. Yes! Weezing busted! See, Weezing! The crit on the Kali! We're gaming! We had no clue what they were clicking. No clue, but we take those all the way to the bank, bro. All the way to the bank. Dude, that's what we like to see. We don't even need the Shadow Rider. You're just coming with Ho-Oh here, honestly. Perfect. Love that for us. The 100 times victorious. What an amazing title on this Mon. And just BB baby. You can't play slow. GG's. Cool, yeah, we won. The Weezing Gigas carried. Like, we led with the Gigas, the Weezing. We did everything we needed to do. Quiver on our face is not the play. Perfect. Yo, I love this. I love it. Bang, bang, boom, bing, boom, bop, bam. Ho-Oh busted. I didn't even show Kali. That's how good Weezing Gigas is. It's like just a secondary mode to play, a secondary restricted, and we take those wins all the way to what would I change about this team? I think it's a good question to start off with. I think it's a very, very good team. And while we didn't get a chance to utilize the Quillfish, the Overquill stuff, I think I'm going to keep that for the most part. I think I'm going to move a bunch of our EVs around. But I think that like the Ho-Oh is good tech. I think the Weezing Gigas is good tech. I think this guy should be changed. That's probably what I would change. So going into fixing for this team, things I would change is I don't think you need this much offense on Ho-Oh. I also think Ho-Oh is a Mon that like doesn't need this much in HP. Just because like you can probably optimize this to be better used with the lefties. It looks like you're playing to bump on the attack stat, but like honestly, I just really don't think you need that much attack. I just really don't. I think you can probably even lower this down to here and use Ho-Oh to play for like the right there at that bump at 176. And I also think you should be trying to get to 120 to be able to outspeed certain things. Like 119 is a bit of a no man's land. You don't have anything that capitalizes on +1, -1 speeds, right? You don't have any sort of like Icy Wind mechanics, but at the same time, a lot of people are optimized and they get to 120 to outspeed genies. So you want to be outspeeding those people that are optimized to those levels. That's why you would get to a 121. And then from there, like, again, we want to think about what Ho-Oh really needs to get to optimize its leftovers. I think it's 208 is its HP if that's how you want to optimize it. And then we can throw the rest in like Spadef or something. I'm just pulling up a calculator here. So we're going to be dividing 208 divided by 16 goes exactly into 13. So if your HP is divisible by 16, that's how you know you're going to get the most amount of leftovers recovery. So it's going to be right there. And so you see we have like all these extra points that we can do everything with to help us facilitate like a bulkier Ho-Oh. And you could put a lot of those into Spadef. I think we already have like a really, really high base Spadef, so maybe that's not the play, especially with the Grass Terra. There's nothing really wrong with just like dumping that in here. And that's what we would call this a dump. These are extra points that we didn't need. We got our right speed tier, we got our right HP. We lowered our attack down to the previous stats bump because we just don't need that much attack on Ho-Oh. If you're more comfortable with keeping that high attack, you can, but this is how I would play the Ho-Oh to leverage that advantage to help me like elongate the game. You know, effectively putting a bunch more of our points in bulk is going to make when we go for those regenerator plays, when we do pivot, it's going to make us restore like even more health because it's going to be harder to get that health off in the first place. So I would build it a little bit like this. I mean, it's both. A Ho-Oh with a dumpy over here. right? And then down with this Weezing, I think you should definitely be getting this to about an 85. So that would look something like this. And the reason why you want to get to an 85 is because you want to be able to outspeed base 100s, which are 84s. If you have a tailwind up from your Ho-Oh, and this lets you outspeed Lando I specifically, if you have a tailwind up. So that's why you want to get down here. And then from there, 282 HP was good. I feel like putting your nature into defense there is fine as well. But like maybe we think if there's like maybe any sort of other way we want to play to our bump here, which is probably right there. That's our bump. I don't think we need it. I think that like you were kind of right with the 4. With that like this. One thing that I would do here that's just maybe a me thing, I like Strange Steam over D-Wing. Now you might think if you're having more of a problem with Shen Pao and Sash Ursh, you can keep that D-Wing, but I like the Strange Steam for the RNG, the 20% off the confusion. That's just me. If you think that you don't like missing that 95, if you want the AoE, feel free to keep it as Dazzling Gleam. I also just don't like having situations where like they know to check Shadow Rider with like Wide Guard, and like if you're ever stuck with these guys and you need to hit your moves and all you have is AoE, like it gets dicey. I like the Strange Team. That's just me. But overall, very, very close set. Shadow Rider, Astral Ball, Psyshock, Protect, Encore. This is a solid set. Double Dip Ghost on Sash set. Very, very smart. Probably the only thing you could do is cut that 4 out there into here to help you better live like Aqua Jet, Grassy Glide things. It's probably the only real bit of optimization you can do there. Gigas is a little bit weird. I'm of the belief that if you're already going this fast, you should just be full speed. Because right now, your Gigas gets outsped by like a full speed ogre, like a timid ogre. And those are still common. This is all you need though. And the one thing that I would say that you probably might not need to do is, let's just see. Like, I don't know if you need this much attack, but at the same time, I don't know if I would put HP, put those points into HP. I might just put those straight into like defense. That being said, this is a fine set. I will say you don't need Ghost and Cloak. So that's something you can definitely change. We want to think like, what is the set that like checks? So instead of Ghost, because I'm sure that Ghost is there to stop body press, right? It's there to stop body press, close combat. You can probably get the same type of value off something like a Poison, right? Resist the body press, resist the psychic or the fighting move, but also at the same time gaining like a resistance to like Koraidon Dazzling Gleam. Right? So you might be able to get like 2 birds, 1 stone by going with something that helps you resist fighting instead. So another one is something like Bug. You can gain a resistance to like ground at the same time. I like the Poison. I'm a fan of the Poison. I think another one that's also sometimes good that doesn't help you in the fighting department, but like Fire to help you against Wisp. Right? So that's an idea. I would go with the Poison there and try it. You can also double dip normal if you really wanted to be that guy. I don't think there's a problem. I think Fairy is also an acceptable one on Gigas. Definitely an acceptable one in a lot of situations. Fairy is just a really solid defensive Terra, but I like the Poison on a team like this. So this guy, right? Double dip Poison Black Sludge. I vibe with it. Gives you your bar barrage, gives you a little bit extra damage in some situations. I think that you don't need to be any faster than this. If we're taking a look at its spread here, this is bump right here. I wonder if this is being used for anything, because like honestly what you could do is just cut that last little bit up into like a 4-4 into like your attack and your speed, or you can just throw that last 8 into your defense and that's fine. I liked this set. I think you did a bunch of good stuff right on it. You might want to cut that up into something like this, and the only reason being is like you already have your bump right here, right? At 119, and then this would let you outspeed other overquills. And like honestly, if you wanted to even go one step further, you could go into this, because 107 will let you outspeed Dragapult, which honestly is like not a Pokemon in this format, so you don't need to do that. But if you were afraid of Dragapult, which you shouldn't be, you know, this could let you outspeed that. Again, I don't know what you're exactly calced for, but this is probably what I would do. Because like being able to go Tailwind with a Ho-Oh and just like dump you with a Throat Chop, like that's kind of nice. Like I like that. I vibe with it. Right? And then the last one is the Grim. I really think that you're going to get a lot more value off making this into a Sableye. Sableye, I think, is like the thing this team is missing. I think you still keep the Prankster. You can actually just throw the Light Clay on here. I don't think the ability shield was like doing us a lot of favors. You can even do something like an eject button if you really wanted to, but like Light Clay is good. You still have the Reflect, right? You still have the Reflect, you still have the Light Screen, but now you just have like Wisp. And I think you can't really put a price on like Wisp. I think it's really, really good, right? being able to be like, oh, Zenta, I'm just going to wisp you. So like now, remember, the whole team was submitted with like the ability to pick between, now, which one of these do I want to set up poison with? Well, if they have a team that obviously if we'd steal into you, you're not required to go Ho-Oh anymore. You now have a secondary burner to use instead, which is so nice, and it's a little bit more hidden. The last move that I like to go with when I play Sableye is Disable. Now you have the ability to Encore Disable things, which gives you a little bit more synergy with your Shadow Rider. And one last little tippity trick that I like to do, this no one's going to see this coming. You can utilize your Weezing to actually still Will-O-Wisp and Disable if your opponent is using like a Farigiraf or something like that, because you're turning off not only the Farigiraf's ability, but you're turning off your own Prankster. So you can like you can just hit all those other like weird dark types and stuff like that. Like if they go dark to avoid something like that, and you have Sable on the board, you can just be like, Wisp, I don't care, right? So they can't go like dark to avoid anymore, because like you turn off your own ability. And I think that's really cool. So I would try this set. As for Sableye, you want a little bit of speed on this thing, probably only about there, just to make sure you still can actually use these if you have to ever turn off the abilities. From there, you just want to go full HP, and you want to think like, am I more afraid of physical or special attacks? You're more afraid of special attacks with Sableye being like Dazzling Gleam, Spout, Astrals. You resist like a lot of the fighting, you have immunities to a lot of the different fighting, so like honestly, just playing for bump here is probably the right way to make this Mon work. And that's going to be right there as well. So you just have extra points, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we have 4 extra points, and I think that's completely okay. Another thing you could do is if you didn't want to have extra points, just go right there, and you're like, that's fine. And that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that at all. So that's what I would do. And then I would make this guy probably have, like, a Grass Terra, I guess. Grass is a fine Terra. I'm not a big fan of Dark here. I also wanted to talk about that. I like Water, just so you can sit in front of Kali-I just a little bit easier. I'm not a fan of the Dark Terra and Mentor, but at the same time, I mean, I understand it. But like, I think that if you're more afraid of like Psychic moves, you could probably just go with like some other type that had a resistance or immunity to Psychic. Not immunity, but like a resistance. I think Water's pretty neutral into almost everything. And it lets Weezing get that one extra turn of like elongated board presence that it wouldn't have had before. So those are the changes that I would make for this team. Hopefully you agree. I'm going to post this on the Patreon team submission post right after the stream. But I think this is a very fun team to play. And hopefully you like the changes. So let's take a look at the second team we're going to be taking a look at. We're going to be turning this team that was submitted on the Patreon team submission post into a Weezing Shadow Rider Goth team. And if we come up here, this team is submitted by I am DJ3. And it says, hey, I made this team on Showdown this past week and finally finished building on Scarlet and Violet. I was hoping you could give my team some pointers and definitely suggest some adjustments so I can see if there's anything I'm missing. They say they normally have like a balanced playstyle with this team. And they give a bunch of tips for, you know, how they like to play it. I read through all this, and when I was taking a look at this team, there's a bunch of, like, little things that seemed off. We're going to be turning this into a Goth Shadow Rider team, because this Choice Scarf Ogre basically is a Shadow Rider, and this Iron Hands with, like, Fake Out is basically a Gothitelle. So we're going to be moving a bunch of things around about this team, but I want you guys to note one thing, okay? This team's EVs are all over the place and need a ton of work. You're right in between a bunch of situations here. So 76 would give you something at level 50. Because remember, EVs are different at every single level. They're different at 50, they're different at 100. 76 and 84 are stat marks where you actually get something. 78 gives you nothing. You're just wasting those 2 points. You've used 2 feathers and gotten nothing for it. They're just wasted. Same thing for 218. It's not getting you anything. That's fine. 118 doesn't get you anything. 49, 123. This is going to be a really hard team to get a win with in general. We're going to try our best. 16 doesn't get you anything. It works. 50 doesn't get you anything. 26. You see, like, there's a lot of little holes in the EVs that need to be fixed, which is this is one of the reasons why I really do like doing the team fixing. Because when people submit teams like this, we're going to run down exactly what is wrong with these when we actually have to go play some games. But, you know, we get people to understand how EV training works in this series. A couple people also reached out to the person who submitted this on Patreon and said, like, your EVs are wrong, you need to fix your EVs. We're going to be running down how to fix those. But first what we're going to do is play some games with the team. So let's go try that on the ranked ladder. Holy moly, I hope these EVs don't lose me some games. Wish me luck. Here we go. So let's see what we want to do here. Shadow Rider Zenta. That's standard, like, very standard. Is that the one that has the sash on Shadow Rider or the POW? Is that the Life Orb POW? I think it might be the one with the Life Orb POW. This being said, I think Kyogre is actually really usable here. I think Kyogre can be very, very nice if utilized correctly. Our Kyogre has what Terra? Grass Terra, okay. There is a world where, like, we lead Kyogre, pivot and Weezing, and just pop their board. I like that board. I like that life. That life suits me just fine. So we can lead Kyogre and Calyrex, because I think we still want Calyrex here. And then Weezing. And then we need to think, like, which one of these we really need to bring here. Yeah, I think you bring Hands. I could probably just Trick Room this guy, though, right? Is there actually anything stopping me from just Trick Rooming them? Like, this board just says no. What's our actual Weezing set to? Protect, Poison Gas, Toxic Spikes. And I'm just checking some of our other Terras. We have Fire Terra. You know what? We're going to do this. Got it. All right. This team's all over the place, man. So we're going to have to do a lot of fixing for this one. I think that, like, leaning into TR is probably a better idea. And our opponent's team is so standard that it's just going to be really hard. That's the correct lead. EVs are definitely over the place. I'm thankful for the chance to make the team stronger. Yeah, happy to help. Happy to hear you're here checking it out, too. So, yeah, Zenta is a big problem for this team. Like, an absolutely massive issue. Right now, though, we can protect things. Right? We definitely can. I'm going to Toxic Spikes here and just protect. You may be thinking, don't protect, it's Urshifu. Not really, it's turned off right now. So if you want to nuke me, you can. Body press? No. Lol, nope. Stop it. Get some help. You can hit the Weezing, I don't care. Surging Strikes. Lol, nope. Stop. Toxic Spikes are up. So phase 1 of our plan is going great. Now I just want to say, if your Weezing had something like Wisp here, do you see how, like, Wisping that Zenta just says, like, and that's the game? You know? It'd kind of work out. So we don't have, like, that many. Like, we need to get a way to start dumping the Zenta. And we just don't have that right now. We just do not have it. We can do this and this, but, like, I still think we might lose the Cali here. I have to soak it, right? Yep, and he doesn't get his defense boost right now. So we're going to hold, just barely. Get some good damage here. And that looks like Sash Ursh maybe on this team. Might be Mystic Water, but, like, it's hard to say, right? Gotta hit this, by the way. This high horsepower, very important. It puts the Zenta within range for the spout. Perfect. Let me check something. Okay. I don't think there's a problem. Like, if you want to make a read and start, like, doubling in the Weezing, like, I don't care. I'm just playing my game. Imprison, bro! Dude, he cooking. We're actually going to scout and see what he's imprisoned next turn. He has to have a move that he shouldn't have. He might not have Protect. If he has Protect, that means he doesn't have, like, Wide Guard or something. He cooking, that's right. KO? Oh, yeah, you want that damage? Dude, this Weezing's chunking him, bro. Sheesh. Okay. Give me those lefties. Putting that to work out here. All right. So we're going to scout and see if he has... we're going to scout and see what he's imprisoned. As far as Protect. So it won't let me Protect if he has that imprisoned. Which we will cry. It has been imprisoned. So he has Protect, Imprison, Body Press. He doesn't have Wide Guard. We're going to lose both of our Mons this turn. I think that's fair. Absolutely acceptable. Go nuts. I would love to see your Terra, by the way. Thank you so much for that. Might not have a steal move. I mean, he could if he wants to have Wide Guard instead. He's double dipping Ghost. Remember, Weezing does not stop them from, it doesn't stop them from getting as one boosts either. We're going to see. We actually should just be able to lock this one up. I think Ogre gets the KO, especially if they take orb damage. I'd love to see some orb damage. Can you take some orb damage for me, please? I'd love to see some orb damage. It'd be really nice. Because I don't know if Kyra gets this. Never lucky, bro. Okay. He's going to take toxic damage, though. This is really going to come down to whether or not Ogre picks up the KO. And your Ogre with this EV spread will not get the KO. I will tell you that right now. You actually don't even outspeed Shadow Rider with the Scarf Ogre. Bro, I'm not wrong with this EV spread. I'm not wrong in bringing the Ogre. Sorry, I should have done more research into seeing that your Ogre was all wrong. You don't even outspeed anything with this thing. It doesn't even outspeed Shadow Rider, bro. Oh my gosh, we just lost because of that. I assumed that a Scarf Ogre would be made to actually outspeed Shadow Rider, but it shouldn't. The only way it does is if they're modest. So, I'm not going to say this is my fault. Because, like, why is it Scarf then? But, you know, we do what we can with what we have. We don't even outspeed, bro. Yep. If we had the ability to outspeed, we would have won. Yeah, see, that's really bad. So when you're playing with Ogre, right, and you want to use a Scarf Ogre, right, what you need to do is make your set like this. Right, so you take a look at Kyogre here, and you plug it in. Kyogre needs +1, so that's your Scarf right there. Set it to 50. If you want to outspeed Shadow Rider, you actually still need to be at least this level. I think it's like 212. Right there, because Shadow Rider is... Shadow Rider gets to 222, so you need to be 204 to outspeed Shadow Rider, right? It with Timid, right? So that's the 149 is the number you need to get to right there. Your Kyogre is currently sitting at 137, which is right in the middle of no man's land. So I just want to say, we would have won that game. If you had like a regular Scarf Kyogre, we would have won that game. And I was setting it up like it was a Scarf Ogre to close in the back. So, I mean, what do you want me to do? Your EVs are all over the place. So we're going to fix those here and get right into it. So the first thing we want to do is think about what we want this Ogre to be. This Ogre needs to fill the role of fast AoE. Right, so you actually don't even need an Ogre here. What you're actually trying to do is use a Shadow Rider. So make this into a Shadow Rider, right? And then the next thing we want to do is we want to keep the Weezing. Calyrex Ice. We can't have two Calyrexes. This is going to get cut. This is going to be the role of the Gothitelle. Because what's this Pokemon role? It's Fake Out. Right? So Gothitelle does that. Now, what you were doing with the rest of the team, it's fine. It's okay. But you don't really need a lot of these Mons for what you're trying to do. Brute Bonnet doesn't get us like anything. I want you to also think, if you want to go back and look at some of the articles talking about like, you know, the things every single team needs. You have Fake Out, you have like spores, redirections and things like that, but unless you have like the right stuff to make it work, it's not going to work. So I would say probably cut those. I'd probably add something like a Zenta here. I think Zenta would be a good mon to add in like this sort of situation. I think Zenta Goth is actually still really good. If you wanted to keep Brute Bonnet, you technically could in some situations, but this is where I would just add a regular Amoonguss. You might even want to add something like, you know, a Clef could work here as well, just a regular Clef. Level on the Mons, they're going to be level 50, but all the Mons were like set for weird levels before. I think that Clef would probably be a decent looking mon here. You could also add an Amoonguss if you really wanted to, but I think that Clef is fine. And I don't really think you need like that much more like aggression other than like a POW here. And the POW here is actually really good because it lets you open up with like POW Zenta. And if they want to go with like a Tailwind or something, you can just always pivot in the Weezing and like Icicle Crash. Very, very solid. It forces terrors on turn 1. It lets you dictate the play a little bit. And then even if that's the case and you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, you still have the options to like play defensively around that. So I really like what all these bring to the table. I also think like matchups like Gothitelle are like really, really good into like TR in some situations, because you can fake out their redirector if it's not an entity and then like taunt with POW, or you can like one-shot something with POW and then taunt them. So if they do an entity, you can just go for like an absolutely massive like big throat chop with the POW and then just go for a taunt into like their Kali Eye or something like that. So I think this is actually a really solid 6 here, and we'll start building the rest of the team. I think you can get away with choice specs here. I think choice specs is really good. I like the double dip ghost on this mon. And then when I play this sort of mon, I really like Astral, right? You really like the Astral. You have Shadow Ball and Astral because you only get locked into wide guards. I think you just go Psychic. This is still better into Zenta and stuff like that. And the last move I always go is Pollen Puff here. I think it's just really, really solid. You can also Pollen Puff into your Zenta, into your Goth, bunch of solid healing and stuff like that. Really, really good stuff. Come back to the Weezing in just one sec. This guy's going to have Safety Goggles. I really like this one here. We're going to make our ability into Shadow Tag. You definitely want the Fake Out. Definitely want the Taunt. Right? These are things you need to have. You want Helping Hand on this mon. And then the last move can be a bunch of different things. Some people like to put Protect. Some people like to put TR to TR to TR. I like Foul Play. I think Foul Play is just solid. It's a little bit good. We're probably going to end up going with a Dark Terra on this thing. So double, like Stab, Dark Terra, Foul Play is always going to be valuable, especially when you have like POW as an option. It makes POW Goth even stronger. Zenta is going to be Rusted Shields. Now, I don't think you play this standard Zenta. This is where I would probably play like Iron Defense Zenta. So we'd have like Protect here. We'd have Snarl. We'd have Iron Defense and Body Press. That's how I would play Zenta on this team, weaving in like values of the Fake Out, the ability to turn off Intimidates or turn off other abilities, and utilizing like Life Juice from Clef. Clef Zenta looks so cracked for Clef Zenta. And then this guy, I think that you can probably get away with Grass Terra, but at the same time, like Water Terra is good. I think Dragon Terra is viable. You don't want to go with a Terra that gives you an even more obnoxious weakness to Koraidon. So like if you can find something that will never let Koraidon in, you're gaming, right? So you want something like Dragon's almost good, but like if they force that, like they just come in and pin, right? So I guess something like Poison could work. It's neutral or resists everything. Something like Ghost is probably what I would do here, honestly, because it lets you just have neutral matchman around and then you avoid Fake Out. Super solid. Great. Love to see it. Clefairy, this is going to be probably a Grass Terra, so we can go Grass, Follow Me, Redirection. We're going to have the Friend Guard, have an Eviolite. Right, so this thing you have Protect here, because Protect will elongate the effectiveness of that Friend Guard and your Follow Me as a potential bluff that you want to go for. After that, we talked about having Life Dew, and we probably just want, you could put Helping Hand here. I don't think Helping Hand's inherently ever wrong, but I think you probably want After You here, because Trick Room will be a thing, and what this can be is a Pokemon that like you lead Shadow Rider, and you know that they have to Trick Room you. So if you just pivot in the Clef, and they Trick Room you, you get to do 2 Astrals. And if you Shadow Rider and they decided Glacial, well, you pivot in the Clef, got that Friend Guard boost to your Sped F and your defense stat, and then you just didn't die, and you get to just double Astral again. Really, really solid. Love that for us. Pow's going to be Sash. And Pow's a little bit weird. We won't Protect here for sure. I'm a big fan of Taunt. Taunt Pow is cracked. This is going to be the thing that wins you all your games. And do we need Ice Spinner or Ice Crash? We want Crash because it doesn't make contact, but at the same time, we don't need to take away terrains because they shouldn't be active because we have a Weezing, right? That's what we want out of this mon. And now that we have all of our moves and stuff out of the way, we can start trying to do... I'm going to actually double dip Dark too. I think it's another thing worth doing. We double dip Dark to make sure we can KO like entities and stuff like that. We can start working on our EVs here. Let's get this Weezing fixed too. What is the Weezing's role of this team? And we definitely cloak this Weezing. Weezing needs Taunt. Weezing needs Wisp. This Weezing wants to sit in front of the board. This Weezing can have D-Gleam because the rest of the team is a lot of single target attackers other than the Shadow Rider. And we want Weezing to come in here and just be a pivot in that can come in and just let us blow things up with Shadow Rider. Very, very solid stuff. Love to see this Weezing set. Ground Terra is a little bit too dicey. I think that Water could go good on this Weezing as well. Grass is another good acceptable one, but we're already using Grass Terra over here. So let's see what we want to do here. Weezing would probably like to, let's set these levels to level 50. Why do you use Weezing while Gothitelle, Zamazenta, Clef, and Shempel all have really good abilities? Oh, okay, that's a great question, right? So the whole point of like a Weezing Gothitelle, which is what we already talked about at the start of this, is like you want to lead something like Calyrex and Goth and go like Fake Out Astral And if they have some ability that lets them bypass that, you pivot in the Weezing, and then Shadow Rider wins. So it's not that Weezing is going to be turning off a bunch of our good abilities. Weezing is going to allow our Shadow Rider to win and force them to over-respect that Shadow Rider. And if they bring the tech, like their POWs and their Urshes or whatever they might have to check our Shadow Rider, they lose to a core that is like Fake Out, POW, Zenta, Clef. Right? So it's forcing an over-respect here. This is an I win button, an easy mode button, versus like this is what we're really trying to do. That's a great question. So going back to the rest of this guy's set here, you probably need to get to at least 84 on the Weezing here. You definitely need to max out the HP in that stat. I would get to, sorry, the 85. And then like Weezing, I think that when I play Weezing, like sometimes when I play it on these Weezings that are better built to like pivot in and soak damage, you just max out the defense stat because it's already its best stat. This is our best shot. We would use this as a defensive pivot for surging strikes if like a runaway Urshi water got a little bit too close to us. That's what I would probably do here. So let's do our EVs again. Like nothing really wrong with 252 Club in this one up here. Nothing wrong with that at all. There's our Weezing. Here's our Goth. Gothitelle needs to have a decent chunk of speed. I would say Gothitelle actually likes to get to about here because you only need this thing to outspeed like certain things. You don't need it to be bulky. And when I play Goths, I play them like this. That's how I do it. It's right there. Right? And so you just get like value off your Goth. I think that's above bump too. Yeah, I vibe with that. Super good set. Zenta. Zenta's a bit of a weird mon here too. We want to get this thing faster than base 100s. So that's going to be right there, base 100. Right there is where I usually get my Zentas, max up that HP stat, and then like honestly, since we have Iron Defense, you could put your Nature in there, but like I usually just like to throw the rest of this right here, and then we're actually gonna go with an attack reduced Nature because we have Snarl on this guy. So that's just where I throw my points in my Zenta. Very, very standard, nothing too spectacular. You don't need to put any points in defense since we come in with the Rusted Shield and the Iron Defense. Clef's a little bit weird. You want to go full HP. You want to go speed reduce, 0 speed on these after you Clefs, and then Clefairy needs to get to right here on its Spadef. This is bump on Clef right here, and then you're just dumping the rest of these stats in there. Or 196, sorry. Right there. And we just dump the last 60 into defense because they're just extra. Pout, you can get away with the 252 clean. Love it, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Very, very cool team. Let's go play a game with this and show you guys how this works on Showdown. All right, so we see, oh, Terapagos. Terapagos, bad matchup. Roaring Moon, bad matchup. That being said, we have lines here. Giratina is dicey spicy, so we can lead like this and get some pins. Like these guys get the pins. They do. I can fake out anything I want. Like if you want to go with that, I can just fake out your Terapagos and astral you into a million pieces, right? I like this. I think that like these are a good alternative plus the Zenta to close out your Terapagos. Like I'm down for that. Sign me up. Let's go. So one cool thing about playing against a team like this is they should not be able to have. They shouldn't be able to Terra here because they have Terapagos, right? So there's a couple things we can do here. I think we still want to fake out here. And we just rip an Astral. They can't swap. We have Shadow Tag. So they're going to have to take big damage here whenever we feel like it. You can Shadow Sneak, but I don't think it KOs because I'm losing some of my weaknesses here. And if you want to Terra the Giratina, go nuts. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the case. No Terra. Let's see what you got here. They are Rocky Helmet. Awesome. And it's safer to taunt there than... Sorry, it's safer to fake out than taunt. It breaks Sash. It plays around Mental Herb. Like, just solid. See, we got that big +2 right off the rip. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Terapagos comes out. Gyarados comes out. They couldn't have swapped in anything. In this situation, we're probably still outspeeding that Pagos, so we can actually just throw up a taunt and just Astral here. We'll be able to KO here. Probably lose the Shadow Rider, and then just come in with Zenta and win the game. Easy. Easy peasy. We love to see it. There's a Stellar. You can rip an Astral. You can rip it. That's a great protect, by the way. Love that for you. Lets me just basically waste my Shadow Rider. Starstorm, they do outspeed. Oh, but they don't KO. They do not KO. And now you're stuck, right? Super stuck. Trying to think of what I need to do in this exact situation. I can pivot in Weezing, take out your Gyarados, come in with my Zenta, go for like a fake out, maybe go for something weird. Helping Hand Gyarados, what an absolute Chad. Good thing he goes down here, right? Yep. Dumpied. So we could fake out. Like, I like this play. We come in with Goth, pivot in the Zenta, go for a fake out. We'll get our +1 on our defense stat. And we just helping hand body press, take it out. Awesome. Team worked great. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So that's how this team works. It's a little bit easier to play. So hopefully you like it. I'm gonna be giving you guys the paste for that on the Patreon post a little bit after this stream. But I do think this is a much easier team to play than the one that was submitted. It's a lot more streamlined, and it still keeps the same idea of that team. This is your fast AoE mon. You know, this is your fake out mon. And instead of that whole like weird trick room redirection thing, like it still keeps a lot of the same pieces. Like we still have fake out, we still have redirection, we still have healing, we still have our big wing condition bulky setup mon like that Kali I was, but our team's just a lot more streamlined and a lot more easy to play. So this is a solid way to play Weezing, and it gives you different outs. Like you can go lean into those wisps, so the Zenta Shadow Rider mirror can be a lot easier in some situations. We have multiple taunt users, so we don't get cheesed as much by TR. We have good redirection, like very, very solid. Look at us fixing multiple teams. It's absolutely amazing. So this team right here is from Gothitelle, one of my favorite person that submits teams here. It says, hey, that's us. So going through several different teams, I ended up committing to this one. I played over 100 best of 3 sets on Showdown with it, and just played my first best of 3 tour with it a few weeks back. It was a St. Jude tour. You went 3 and 5. You really like the team, but I feel like I don't have enough options. I love Weezing and Dozo. They're on your squad, but I feel stuck. IDK, if you need to change any mons, optimize what I have, here is the pace. So if we take a look at that pace, that's going to be right here. And this team might look really familiar because this is, I think, an expanded upon version of the the Portland second place team used by Zizang. It looks just like it, right? It looks like it to me. So you have like the toxic spikes, poison gas play from the Weezing with like the ability shield Koraidon. This is again that third type of team that we're taking a look at, the third core of what a Weezing team looks like. And you know, you close with like mid game, you have a Scarf Chi-Yu, Sash Shadow Rider. I think this team does a lot of things right. I think that we probably need to play a couple games to get a good understanding of it under our hands. So we're gonna play a couple games here, and then we're gonna see what we might need to fix in the future. So let's go play a game with it and see how it works. The one thing that I think is weirdest about this team upon noticing it is you have the triple attack Dozo with the order up into defense, and then you have Earthquake. I'm not seeing this Earthquake do enough for you to actually keep it. That's probably one of the few things we're going to optimize. So you see like Cress, Kali, Torkoal. This is fat TR. This is where I really like having Protect Weezing, sorry, not Protect, Taunt Weezing, and we don't have that. So you might want to be adding Taunt there. Right now, we're in a situation where we actually can't stop them from getting up TR. We just have to weather the storm with our Dozo, which is absolutely fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. So we probably just want to go like those two for game one. Go with our Tatsu here, and then maybe try and close out with like a mid-game Shadow Rider. That's probably our best bet for this first game. So that's a weird one. Awesome. It's also really good to see Cress off the rip. We don't want Cress in the back. That being said, Poison Gas is good. They can Lunar Blessing it. I will Toxic Spikes. And probably, you know what? I'm okay with this. Pivot in here. Order up. Target the Groudon. Cress has a higher chance of going Fairy. And we just play this game. I think if you had Sub here, it would be absolutely amazing. I think Sub here would be just GG, shake my hand, right? And we really hope that Amoonguss is not Clear Smog. Yeah, we knew they were going to P-Blades there, so we condition that P-Blades. You can Trick Room, it's absolutely fine. We are faster than them. What's our speed on Dozo? How much speed do we have investment? Oof, a lot of speed. Yeah, we're just going to keep gaming out here. We could Protect. I could just order up again, though. Protect Groudon. Good play. What are you using here? Lunar Dance. Oh, he cooking, bro. That is the wrong move. That is the incorrect move. Here's Amoonguss. We're going to Protect for one turn and see what happens. There's Grass Terra, double dip. Oh, he's trying to Leaf Storm us, bro? Solar Beam. Oh, he cooking. Good looking. Sheesh. Yo, this guy's terrible. That's fine. What's that? What's the joke? It's like, whoa, this guy stinks, right? Solar Beam. It's fine. 15% is actually still pretty significant. Do it again. All right, so now we are fat on this guy. We have the lefties. We protect this last turn of TR. They're going to get ready to do other stuff in the back. The Torkoal is a problem, but see how it like never really became like an issue? Heat Crash is not really an issue. I don't think this KOs, but it'd be nice. Oof, 9%, bro. We almost got it. And their helmet. Unlucky. Oh, and we got poisoned. That sucks. You go after the Groudon. Groudon is allowed to protect. Absolutely allowed to protect. Protect, hit, like easy peasy. Like just wreck me, bro. Do it. Yeah, this guy stinks, bro. Nice protect. Love that. I could have Earthquaked there, but the poison made us, you know, have to speed things up a little bit. Good news is we have this. And we can just go like this, and thank you. Come again. Shadow Rider's kind of just nice. Oof. Yep. Boost, boys. Muddy Water D's. Oh, yes, please. Tatsu busted. Good stuff. There's the Cali. A little bit late than never, right? Don't want that thing flipping on a TR. Just double tap it. Easy, bro. Single target's kind of nice. We're going to play another one. And then we're going to get to fixing this team. Break the wrist, walk away. You know, easy peasy, right? Slither Wing. Okay. And Incin. So right off the rip, I'm looking at Koraidon being solid here. Koraidon can just, like, absolutely dumpy this guy. Koraidon seems good. Koraidon Weezing seems very nice, especially with the poison. Venusaur could Toxic Spikes, but like I don't know if they're even going to bring Venusaur to this matchup because like these kind of just crush it. That being said, another mon that's very good here is Dozo. Do you see the move? By cutting Earthquake for sub, we basically just get to wall out any sort of like status moves, right? It's really, really good. I think I'm going to go like this. I don't think I'm going to get Trick Roomed here. Pult, don't care. That is spicy. Mucho spice. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's see it. Oh! Oh my gosh! Who hurt you, bro? Was it me? Did I hurt you? It was me. I hurt you. I know I did. Your orb too. Wow. Cool. That's game. You could have Sucker here, but now that they're not Sash, you can come with your Venu, but I double tap that, right? And you still have everything turned off. Groudon's fine. You have to have Sucker. I low-key want to scout for it. Alright, cool. Heat Crash is fine. We have Sash anyways. Crit. Dude, Weezings are so good. And we just can protect out. Ooh, Slither de-dizzer. Slither me timbers. Block that first impression. Oof. Groudon ticks out. And that's GG. Cool. So yeah, I think this team is fine. You know, they said they went 3-5 St. Jude's. That was a stacked tour. I think that like this team probably just needs a couple slight optimizations. I'm not seeing the value in like a Dozo that has like this much speed. I also think you're using way too much speed in your Dozo. When you're playing Dozo, you either want to be like slow or you want to be fast, like big fast. This doesn't really let you outspeed anything of value, in my opinion, right? I'd probably make this Dozo quite slow. Right here to be able to outspeed like other Dozos. And then from there, I'd be chucking like everything into Spadef. I would always go that max Spadef stat. Looks like you're playing for bump on there, right? And I think that's okay. And then like, honestly, you just throw those last 4 in HP, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But then I would make this sub. You don't need Earthquake. You don't need Earthquake. You don't have any high attacks anyways. You can get Intimidate cycled. Like, it's not it. Like, this is much better. This lets you just play the order up body press game. Very, very solid Dozo set. Lets you close things out correctly. I like the Tatsu set. It's a good Tatsu set. There's nothing wrong with that Tatsu set. You might want to make this Draco Meteor instead of Pulse, because I actually don't think that you can actually KO Koraidon with a Pulse here. So I would actually still make this Draco. Draco Meteor. Chi-Yu. Flamethrower, Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, Snarl. Standard. I like the modest choice 2 instead of being timid. It works on this team. Weezing. Rocky Helmet Weezing. I don't think you're ever going to need Rocky Helmet, because like, they're not really going to be making that sort of contact with you anyways. I think Weezing would benefit a little bit more from Cloak on this team. Just being able to like actually bully things. And I think having Toxic Spikes and Poison Gas is actually like too much. Right? I think you don't need both. I think that Taunt is the thing that Weezing really, really needs. That's just my opinion. I think that Taunt is what you need on Weezing. Choice specs on Tatsu? No. No, that's bad. You don't need specs. Goggles is correct, it lets you taunt the redirection. I'd like to fit taunt on here, but you don't need it. That's just my opinion. I like taunt. But Astral Ball, Psychic, Disable, Protect, I like the set too. I also am of the belief, or where we are in the meta now, where Ghost Terra double dip on these is actually a little bit better. Because, like, if you're going to be taking any damage, like, you're going to get Sash Clocked anyways. You might as well do the most amount of damage as possible. And if you go normal Terra, they're just going to be playing around that and 50-50 baiting you into using your Terra and then punishing you with Psychic. So, like, this is fine, right? I really just like the double dip Ghost. And as for the Koraidon, you can cut this up into a 244 here, and your Koraidon set's fine. This is one of those teams where I think that, you know, I feel like this was submitted for team fixing, but, like, honestly, it's more of a how you play the team than how, what you can fix. I think adding sub here and changing the Dozo set is going to give you a much better matchup into those, like, Wisp and Sins, other toxic stuff like that, and give you outs that you didn't have before. Sub is just absolutely amazing. It means you don't have to blow your sub against, like, Amoonguses as easy. Sorry, you don't have to blow your Terra versus Amoonguses as easy. So that's a fix that we're going to be able to give. But at the same time, like, I think with this team, you're kind of just rushing down to the finish, and if you have the good matchup like we had in the couple games that we played, you have the good matchup. So that's the changes I would make here. Give your Weezing a little bit more ability to leverage that advantage with that cloak, so you don't just get fake out pinned. It makes them have to fake out your Koraidon, which means they're actually still leading fake out mons. So when you lead with stuff like Chi-Yu and Koraidon, they're probably thinking like, oh, well then I probably have to fake out the, like, what are they going to fake out? They're going to fake out the Koraidon, and you pivot in the Weezing in that slot. Doesn't really matter, and you just blow things up with Chi-Yu, and you already set the sun in that situation. That's so good, right? It lets you actually, like, anticipate what they're going to be doing, and it helps, even in an open cheat situation, condition your opponent into bringing what you want to bring. I really like that sort of, like, proactive play where you still always get something by forcing your opponent to reveal those resources. So that's all the stuff we have for today's stream. Again, this was Pokemon VGC Masterclass number 7, What Makes Weezing Work, where we reviewed Goth Weezing, we reviewed Regigigas, we reviewed Weezing Koraidon, and hopefully you guys got a better understanding of how Weezing works in Reg I after checking out this little masterclass. Again, if you guys want to check out any of our other episodes, we're making all these up on Patreon. All these have written articles showing a bunch of different in-depth looks at team building tactics and mechanics. Think about checking that out on Patreon. Even the lowest tier, the $2 tier, gets access to all of this stuff. And if you don't want to read the articles and have those resources, you can also watch it on YouTube. They go live a week after they're recorded up on YouTube. We have a couple, our first couple episodes are already up there right now. Anti-Meta Mondays and last week's Team Fixing Tuesday are up on YouTube if you want to go watch that for yourself. So think about checking out those resources if you want to learn a little bit more about VGC. And thank you guys so much for watching. Peace. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Wi-Fi Wednesday.